Well, hello and good morning, and welcome to Old People This Week. My name is Jeff, that handsome gentleman with the perfectly round coif. That's Mike. Look at that.
Good morning, all.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And we are your hosts. Uh, Old People This Week is a podcast for people who are over 60. So if you are younger than 60, go to Reddit, go to TikTok, but do not come here. This is a place where aging people can have a conversation about the stories that mean something to us. And we will break them down for you every week. You can certainly subscribe. That's what we want, of course, more than anything else. And Mike has promised to come over to your house and wash your car if you subscribe. Isn't that true, Mike?
That's true. And I also bring a financial reward. Jeff has graciously donated his children's trust fund to an account so we can reward you amply for your subscription.
There is no trust fund. There is only a fund. I wish there was a trust fund for them, but there is no trust fund. You can check us out on our Substack, which is called 52tasks.substack.com, in which we lay out a task each week for people to do to make themselves into better people. And you can reach out to us, of course, by email at oldpeoplethisweek@gmail.com and send us your thoughts, your criticisms, send us video. If it's not inappropriate, we'll air the video. And speaking of people reaching out to us this week, we had actually some people reach out to us this past week.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. I have some old friends from the great state of Ohio, or actually they live in Pennsylvania now, Betty and Paul. They've been married 50 long years, which is pretty amazing. And they were out visiting in my neck of the woods and at dinner with Paul and Betty and our friends Molly and Tom. Paul pulled out several sheets of paper with single lines of criticism that he thought that he should tell me about the podcast, and which was greatly received. I have to admit he was right on a lot of things. And then they found Mike, and Paul gave you the same.
Gave me the same spiel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went away feeling totally inadequate, but he was a nice guy.
He is a nice guy, very nice guy. And it was, but that's what we need. Probably need the course check every once in a while. So it was nice to have Paul give us his thoughts, and hopefully they will continue.
It's all your fault for getting me into this, by the way, because I've never done this before, as our subscribers and viewers probably can tell. But
Well, I never did it before either. I've always was behind the camera, never in front. Spent 40 years working in television, but I was a executive or behind the scenes kind of guy. So this is new for me. Every morning I get up to prepare for this. By the way, I do linguistic exercises, which I make noises in my throat and gargle and say red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow. I can't even
to
do
no
it.
avail. To no avail, I can see.
We'll try it. It's tough, by the way. So the lead story for this week, of course, is that on Sunday is the one and only Academy Awards. And I'm not sure how many there's been, but there's been around 100 of them, 101, 102.
Yeah.
They began in Hollywood at the old Hollywood the hotel there on Hollywood Boulevard, and they have expanded to now where they're at this luxurious, gigantic arena on Hollywood Boulevard as well, not far from where they started. I have a history with the Academy Awards, not that I've ever been nominated for them, but as the executive at E! Entertainment Television, part of my responsibilities was to oversee the coverage of our live events, live at the red carpet.
Cool.
Yes, with Ryan Seacrest at the end. Others before him, which I'll tell you about some other time because they were kind of humorous. But at the end, it was with Ryan. And I was in charge of 5 of them a year. That was the Grammys, the Emmys, the SAGs, the Oscars and the Golden Globes. The Oscars were obviously the biggest one, and they were fun and interesting and glamorous to be at, even though I was sitting in a truck some half a mile away, but I was there.
What's the run up time to get organized and get all the moving parts in place to get that coverage done? I mean, it must be incredible to coordinate everything and make sure everyone shows up to do their job that day. And
No, the Academy Awards people are there for a week and installed in that
yeah,
building and rehearsing and because they have musical numbers and they have 6 billion moving parts.
yeah,
It's like directing the Super Bowl. But for us, we would get there a day or two before, set up our truck, set up our cameras on the red carpet. The problem with for us the production problem when you're doing live at the red carpet is that you have so little or no control over what's going on. You don't know who you're going to talk to. You don't know when you're going to talk to them. You don't know what they're going to say. The celebrities are going to say.
yeah,
You have absolutely no control over anything. You do know who's going to be there because you talk to the publicists, and the publicists say, "Well, such and such is going to be there," and you know that you might be able to get them to approach you and talk to your stand and talk to you, but you just don't have a lot of control. So it was interesting television and often fraught. And by the way, I had a huge head of black hair and I was much younger looking before I ever took that particular job.
I want to see that picture.
I'll show you. I'll send you pictures.
I
I'll
want to
bring
see
out
you.
pictures.
I want to see a picture of your side comb.
Oh my God. I had a handsome head of hair in the old days before kids and live television. All right, so Mike, I'm going to run down the five top categories, and we're gonna discuss who we think is going to win, and then we're going to keep score. And if you win, I will. I don't know what I'll do. I'll give you $1. If I win, you give me $5.
and, and there's a thumbnail sketch of this relationship.
Yeah, doesn't always work, but okay. Now the best picture, starting right with the top award. The nominees are. They've added a lot of nominees. It used to be 5 pictures. Now that's like 9. And I think that's to broaden
Yeah.
out the amount of people that might be interested in watching. Is Barbie. Did you see Barbie? Yes, you did. I think you went with your wife to see Barbie.
No, I did not go with my wife to see Barbie, and I haven't stopped hearing about it ever since.
Yeah,
No, she came home filled with this new sense of female empowerment.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
no.
My wife saw Barbie, came home, walked in the house, and slapped me.
Yeah, that's right. How dare you be you for the past 40 years? Yeah.
Yeah, what have I gotten myself into? Then it was. Then there's the movie Past Lives. Now that is a more obscure movie. I happen to have seen it. I watched it on an airplane in a flight across country several months ago, and it was a good film. It's one of those character studies. There's not a lot of action, if any action. It's basically about two people who knew each other as children. They were separated. One moved to America, one stayed in, I think it's Korea. And then later on in life, the person who's in Korea, the guy comes to San Francisco and he hangs out with his old friend, and it conjures up a lot of feelings with both of them. It's a small film, but it was big in ideas. It was pretty good.
Yeah. I I have heard about it, but I have not seen that either.
Yeah. Then the next film is American Fiction.
Which I loved.
Oh, you saw it?
Yeah, I saw it and I loved it.
Oh, I want to see that.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. That's a good
Yeah.
take on race and writing and all sorts of things. That's why I definitely want to check that out.
Oh, you're gonna love the well. You're just. I'll just tell you now. You're gonna love it because of your background and your career.
Oh, good. I can't wait.
Yeah, now you'll love it.
Oh, good. And I should try to watch it this weekend before the awards show. And then there's Bradley Cooper playing Maestro.
I thought it was a total bore.
Really? Why?
Yeah, he was terrific. depicting what apparently they wanted us to believe Bernstein was like. But I just thought the movie was boring. It didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. Then there's the Oppenheimer, which is going to be the favorite for every award,
Yeah.
and Killers of the Flower Moon, The Holdovers, which I liked very much. I laughed my ass off at The Holdovers.
Yeah, Paul
Giamatti.
Giamatti's terrific.
Yeah,
He's really terrific.
yeah, he's great. And then Zone of Interest, which is one of those films that's not pleasant probably to get through, heavy, 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 but yet well acted and important.
Yeah, I have to confess I've never even heard of it.
Well, it's a story about the commander of one of the concentration camps in World War II lives with his family just outside the concentration camp in a walled off space with a swimming pool, playground for the kids, a large house. And so it manages to tell the story, but you never go inside the concentration camp. The whole thing is set within this compound where he lives with the commandant lives with his family.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, so it's one of those. It's heavy, but it's supposed to be really good. And Poor Things, which is the Emma Stone movie, which I have not seen either.
Yeah, I think my wife saw it and raved about it, but I haven't
Yeah.
seen it.
Yeah. So there's a couple there I have to check out. So what do you think of that group? What do you think is going to be named Best Picture?
Well, you almost have to assume that Oppenheimer's going to win it just because of all the run up in the press and the accolades, and
Christopher Nolan's a great director. He's due. There's not going to. I don't think that there's any other choice there. All right, Best Actor: Bradley Cooper, Maestro, Paul Giamatti, Coleman Domingo, Cillian Murphy, who, by the way, as well as starring in Oppenheimer, he was in one of the all-time great zombie movies ever made called 28 Days Later.
yeah.
It is. He was I think it was his first film. It was fantastic. And then Jeffrey Wright for American Fictions. Who do you like in that group?
And sympathetically, I love Giamatti. I just think he's terrific. I think he's underrated, underappreciated. So I'm gonna take a flyer and hope for Giamatti.
All right, you take Giamatti. I'm going to take Jeffrey Wright just to be sort of obstinate on this. Best Actress: Emma Stone, Annette Bening, who I watched that movie. It was Diane, right? Anyway, she plays this swimmer. Lily Gladstone from Killers of the Flower Moon, and Sandra Huller from Anatomy of a Fall, and Carey Mulligan from Maestro.
Yeah, I'm again. I'm thinking Lily Gladstone. I think Hollywood's propensity to try to make up for historical wrongdoing, emotions will overtake them and vote for her.
Okay, so you say, okay, I get that, and I'm going to go with with Sandra Huller from Anatomy of a Fall. It was I don't. This is a tough one. I think that Lily Gladstone won either the Golden Globes or she won the SAGs, which is if you win the SAGs, you generally are going to win the Oscars because it's the same people voting. But
Yeah.
just for the hell of it, I'll take Sandra Huller, who was amazing in there. And that leads to Best Director. Jonathan Glazer from Zone of Interest, Christopher Nolan, Martin Scorsese, Justine Triet, and Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things.
I think it's going to be pretty hard to bypass Scorsese.
Okay, you pick Scorsese. I'm going to pick. It's down for me between the Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall or Christopher Nolan, and I'm going to go with Christopher Nolan. Next week, when we're together again, we'll go through the list and we'll see who was right, who was wrong, and who owes money to whom. And I didn't want to go any further in this because, frankly, when you get any past this into the other nominations and other categories. It just, to me, it's just all who cares after a certain point.
Yeah, no, it's just a great self-congratulatory evening.
All right, so that's our live at the carpet section of today's show, and then we're going to dip a little bit into probably an area that's kind of unfamiliar to Mike and I, which is household tips.
Yeah.
But several things came up as we were talking this week that we found interesting. Um, well, two things in particular. And one I'm going to add on at the top was that I just was going to put a recommendation in there, and I'm not getting paid, by the way, by this company. But if you are looking for a vacuum cleaner, get the Dyson. It's incredible. I mean, I never. When my wife said I'm going to get a new vacuum cleaner, I was like, what, whatever. And she
Yeah.
says, all of a sudden I see that she spent $600 on this Dyson thing, and I almost had a meltdown over it. But I've
Until
used
you
it,
used
and
it.
it's incredible. First of all, it's not plugged in, which is the first thing after running
Yeah.
vacuum cleaners now for my entire life. Except when I was home with my mother, who wouldn't let me near it. But my adult life, when you're free, it just has a battery on there. That's incredible. But also, it lifts up everything off the floor.
It works. They're terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one. I love it. I absolutely love it.
So that's our Dyson recommendation.
Yeah.
Dyson, you can send us a check anytime you like for that. Then we were reading about the proper way to clean towels, and I thought, what? Who cares? Well, evidently, you're supposed to be cleaning your towels every 3 days. Who knew?
Yeah. I,
Do you
I had no idea. I mean,
do you clean your towels every 3 days? You and Mary?
no. I
No.
take a shower. I put the towel in the wash. Get out a clean towel.
So you do it every day?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we don't. So I might take a shower and hang it up there, but not in 3 days. I had no idea. Evidently, the towels can collect dead skin cells, bacteria, and even sweat can accumulate quickly on your towels. So use a fresh one every 3 days. Well, I'm going to write a stern note to these people and say, Mike, Mike says do it every day.
Every day. What do they know?
Man, you must be doing a lot of laundry over there.
Well, there's
And
just the
then,
two of us.
that's true. Then it says, this guy says, when a towel is ready for the hamper, you should let it air dry first. Throw it over a shower rod or the side of the tub until it doesn't feel damp. Then it can live in the dirty laundry until wash day without risk of developing funky smells or growing bacteria.
Or turning into a pile of mold.
Oh my God! I'm gonna have to get busy here and start washing my towels more often.
Do
I
you do
wonder.
it, or does your bride do the laundry?
We probably both do it, but she does it more than I do. There was a period in time in our marriage where she wouldn't let me near the washer and dryer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, don't. No, she goes, that's my. I'm not. You're not doing that because I would
That's
screw it
our
up.
favorite story. When I was traveling once, I was gone for a week or so, and I got a call from Mary, and she asked me which one is the washer and which one is the dryer.
How? That's just pretty astounding.
Yeah. No, she just so as and people who have known us over the years know that we have a perfect division of labor in our marriage. I do everything. So
Well, how did you tell her what's the difference? How did you say that this one, the one with this where you the one that spins around? What does it
yeah.
spin? How did
No,
you describe it on the phone?
look for the one that has any indication that you might be dealing with water on the dial.
On the dial. Yeah, I don't understand washer and dryer sets. The washer and dryer set that's here, one is a top loading,
Yeah.
and then one you have to scoop down and you have to and put it in the
Put
front.
it,
Why don't they just make them both top loading?
yeah. Well, I never understood all the new technical settings now anyway. I mean, just on off works for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's a lot of settings, and you can do them remotely now. But we were looking at at new sets one time. We were just walking through Lowe's or something, and they describe the one type of all. There's evidently two types of all washers, and one of them's called an agitator type
Yeah.
because it the way it agitates by making the clothes rub against each other, and that's how they get clean.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Who knew? Yeah.
Who knew? But so the next thing we of our household tips is about ultra processed foods. This was basically, you sent me this, that says that there's a correlation between ultra processed foods, which I'll explain what an ultra processed food is here in a second, and more than 30 negative or potentially fatal health conditions, including weight gain, morbid obesity, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes. By the way, what's the difference between being obese and morbidly obese?
I have no idea. I flunked out of medical school before we got to that part.
You figure if you're obese, you're probably, 300 pounds or more. But if you're morbidly obese,
that must mean you don't have long left.
I think it means you're like 500 pounds or more.
Yes, I guess. I don't know.
Well, where where they have a TV show about you on A&E,
They show the crane lifting you off the sofa.
That's how they have to put people into caskets when they find them when they're morbidly obese. Maybe morbidly obese means, you're probably right. It means you're about to die. But anyway, the ultra processed foods that they were talking about are potato chips, sugary cereals, frozen dinners, fast food, and packaged food such as Lunchables. Well, so I looked through my, pantry. I have potato chips. They're but they're low sodium potato chips from Trader Joe's, but I do have potato chips.
That's an oxymoron, by the way. Low sodium potato chips.
Well, they claim they're low sodium.
Yeah, bull. If you eat a potato chip, you eat it for the oil and the salt.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing.
And then and under sugary cereals, I have Frosted Flakes in there. They're great, by the way.
They are great. They are great.
Frosty Flakes, I call them.
I had a vision of you standing at the sink eating a bowl of sugary cereal while your wife was away last week. That you were in bachelor paradise.
Yeah, well, this is another one that came up in bachelor paradise, the fast food. I woke up hungover one morning and I went and got myself a Big Mac because there's nothing better for a hangover than a Big Mac. I'd gone out with those friends of ours and came in and had a little too much red wine, and the next morning I went and got a McDonald's and it was tasty. Alarmingly, these foods pose a 21% greater risk of death from all causes. I've never had Lunchables myself, but we gave them to the kids every day, their lunch boxes. So I'm not going to tell them, but if they develop diabetes, they could probably blame us.
Yeah. They'll send you the medical bills.
Yeah. Well, I probably will get those anyways.
Yeah.
That's all for our portion of this show based on household tips and food tips. This caught my eye. The town where we live is a small town, and it's like a Mayberry. There's a lot of small town things going on. But who knew that they have a club for people who like to launch rockets?
Yeah, it's very cool.
Well, you've seen it before?
Yeah, we went to it 2 years ago here. I just heard about it at the time and was on the City Planning Commission. And we had to issue the permit for the rocket launch day. And I thought, what the heck? That makes me a little nervous. So I went to the event, and it was really, really interesting. And it's typically kids and their instructors or their teachers who have put together these little homemade rockets, and they're learning about rocketry and telemetry and all that kind of thing.
Who
But
needs to know?
they actually line them up and fire them off.
Nobody got killed, shot with a rocket.
No, yeah, no.
Well,
It was really cool.
when the rockets go up, where do they come down at?
Typically, like in a football field area or a big open space, they'll go up maybe a couple hundred feet and then drop straight back down. I mean, they're not they're not like invading the Arabian Peninsula or anything.
Yeah. Well, I tried shooting off one with my kids when they were young, and it flew over a major intersection.
Oh,
And
great.
all I heard was that you could hear the screeching of brakes and cursing, and so we had to run over there to retrieve it before we got arrested. So I thought,
Neighbor of the Month award.
oh man, no, it was scary. We shot it off at a park, like you're describing, but it didn't land in the park. It landed on a intersection, huge intersection in Los Angeles, where a lot of people would be pissed off.
Did you build the rocket? Did you guys, with your son, did you build it?
No, I don't remember building it. I just remember having it, and we put it into we had a launcher, and it was all supposed to be easy and simple, and it went totally wrong.
That really worries me.
Yeah, well,
That
that's
you
why
just found a rocket in your house.
No. We bought it at a Hobby Lobby, and thought we would just, it looked like fun, but we just were stupid about it. We didn't pay attention to how high it was going to go or where it would go after it went straight up, just assuming it would go up a few feet and come down. Hey, but no, it was a disaster. Those are the kind of thing that brings you closer to your kids when the three of you are running away from a crime scene.
Yeah, from a neighborhood mom.
And turning to them and saying, "Don't tell mom."
Yeah. You go this way, I'll go that way.
Meet you at the car. For our last story today, this is we always look to our friends generally in the southeastern part of the United States for a finishing story. But this one has something that's directly tied to my own life. It's as you'll see in this picture I'll show you, there's a huge alligator eating another alligator on the Hilton Head, South Carolina golf course. And this writer posed the question, why cannibalism? But, and it was written by a woman named Mary Dimitrov for the Hilton Head Island Packet. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about the Hilton Head Island Packet. So my son Jake, who went to school back east, and I thought he was going to get out of college and become a television person like me, and I helped get him a job at MSNBC. But a year into the job, he had this epiphany, and he decides that he wants to be a newspaper writer. That's going to be his lot in life. And his mother and I were appalled, and we said, that there's no future in writing for newspapers because newspapers are closing. But he was determined, so he joined this group called the RFA, Report for America, and they are committed to local journalism and helping fund and supply writers to reporters to different small newspapers around the country. So they sent him down to this exact paper, the Hilton Head Island Packet, for him to write. And he was there and knows this writer. He's since left there about a year ago, but he was there then, and there was a lot of critters down there. One, they had these things called palmetto bugs, which are fondly referred to as flying cockroaches down there.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Two, they have armadillos. Somehow armadillos got brought there from Texas years ago, and now have proliferated to the point where there's armadillos all over South Carolina.
Everywhere.
It's nuts. And you can't do anything. You can't kill them. There's hundreds of thousands of armadillos. And then third are these crocodiles. They're everywhere, and they're enormous. And they might just saunter across the middle of the street. And it's not like you could just drive over them. They're like logs. They're 12 foot long, and they weigh 1,000 pounds, and you hit them, that wrecks the car. or they'll wreck the car and eat you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't try to shoo one out of your yard.
No, no, you don't mess with them. So,
Right.
anyway, this Mary Dimitrov wrote this article that a guy is driving his golf cart through a Palmetto course where he worked as a ranger, and he sees a large alligator around 10 foot long eating a smaller alligator about 5 foot long. And he saw them twice the same day, with this large alligator walking around with a smaller alligator in its mouth. And he is quoted to say he had a good grip on him in his mouth. It didn't look like there was a struggle or anything. So the question for this writer was trying to find a new angle, by the way, in a county where they're constantly writing about alligators
Yeah.
and crocs.
Yeah.
Her angle was, is this cannibalism? And they said, well, there are many other animals are cannibals, for example, foxes and bobcats. But alligators are more visible because they live in these quarters with humans.